The Galactic Council chamber fell silent. Ambassador Velther of the Kryn Empire made his entrance, his crystalline form refracting the ambient light into 1,000 hostile shards. Across the obsidian floor, Diplomat Hazel Chen stood perfectly still, her hands clasped before her in a posture of diplomatic calm that had taken years to perfect. But it wasn't Hazel that made the assembled representatives freeze in their seats. It was the human. Standing behind her, Leo Martinez stood 6 feet tall, which wasn't particularly impressive by galactic standards. The Vraxian war forms powered at 9 feet, and the insectoid Chitauri queens reached even higher. His simple black tactical suit seemed almost primitive compared to the energy shields and bio-armor worn by other species' security details. Yet every predator instinct in the room recognized another apex hunter. You dare bring a human to these proceedings? Velther's voice resonated like breaking glass. After your kind has been barred from military service throughout civilized space. Hazel smiled politely. Leo is not military. Ambassador, he's private security. Perfectly legal under council law. The Kryn ambassador's form pulsed with angry red light. For 3 standard months, the Kryn Empire and the Terran Alliance had been locked in what the galaxy called a Cold War, an endless series of border disputes, trade sanctions, and diplomatic incidents that had brought both civilizations to the brink of actual conflict. Today's emergency session was meant to prevent that final step. Very well, Velther hissed. Let us begin. The Kryn Empire demands immediate Terran withdrawal from the Sigma Drift colonies. These systems were ours by right of ancient claim, long before humans crawled from their evolutionary mud. Hazel opened her datapad, ready to counter with the standard arguments about settlement rights and interstellar law. But before she could speak, a new voice crackled through the chamber's communication system. Council members, we have a situation. The words came from Commander Zix, head of Council Security, a position that was largely ceremonial. Nothing violent had occurred in this chamber for over 6 centuries. 3 Kryn warships have just entered the system. They're demanding the immediate release of Ambassador Velther and the surrender of the human bodyguard. The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives from a dozen species began shouting, their translation devices creating a cacophony of overlapping languages. Hazel's jaw tightened. This was a setup. Velther had never intended to negotiate. He'd brought a fleet to intimidate, to make demands from a position of overwhelming force. Stand down your warships. Ambassador, Hazel said quietly, her voice somehow cutting through the noise. This is neutral territory. What you're doing is an act of war. Velther's crystalline form seemed to smile, fractures forming and reforming in patterns that might have been expressions. What I'm doing is teaching the galaxy a lesson about human arrogance. Your alliance is small, your military is restricted by council law, and your species' violent nature has made you pariahs among civilized races. The Kryn Empire will take what is ours, and the council will do nothing to stop us. You're probably right, Leo said. It was the first time he'd spoken. Every head turned toward him. Hazel recognized the tone. She'd heard it before, in the negotiation rooms of a dozen hostile worlds, always in the moments just before everything changed. They probably won't stop you, Leo continued, taking one casual step forward. The council is bureaucratic, slow to act, terrified of actual conflict. You could probably take those colonies, maybe even a few more systems before they organized a response. Velther pulsed with satisfaction. Finally, a human who understands reality. But you made one critical mistake, Leo said, his voice dropping to something cold and flat. You brought warships to a diplomatic meeting. You threatened violence in neutral space. And most importantly, he smiled, and there was nothing friendly in it. You made this personal. The Kryn ambassador's confidence faltered. You are one human, one bodyguard against 3 warships. What exactly do you think you can do? Leo's hand moved to his comm device. Bridge, this is Leo. Authorization code Martinez Delta 7. Execute protocol Prometheus. Hazel's eyes widened. She knew that protocol. Every human diplomat did, though none had ever expected it to be used. Confirmed, came a voice from orbit. Protocol Prometheus executing in 3 to 1 on the massive view screen that dominated one wall of the council chamber. The tactical display showed the 3 Kryn warships in orbit. They were impressive vessels, each capable of glassing a planet from orbit. Then the display lit up with new contacts, hundreds of them. Warships began dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding not just the Kryn vessels but the entire council station. Dreadnoughts, carriers, battle cruisers, the collective might of Earth's restricted military, which turned out to be far less restricted than the galaxy had believed. You see, Leo said conversationally, the council banned humans from serving in their military. They never said anything about us having our own. We've spent the last 50 years building a fleet in the dark spaces between the stars, and we've been very, very patient. Velther's crystalline form flickered with what might have been fear. This is impossible. The treaties were written by people who were terrified of what humans could do. Hazel interjected, finding her voice. They restricted us, isolated us, treated us like dangerous children who needed to be controlled. But they forgot something important about humans. Ambassador. What's that? Velther whispered. Leo answered, his smile widening. We're really good at finding loopholes. The comm crackled again. This is Fleet Admiral Morrison of the Terran Alliance Navy. Kryn vessels, you have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Failure to comply will result in your immediate destruction. On the view screen, the Kryn warships went dark, their weapon systems shutting down in surrender. Total elapsed time since the protocol activation, 3 minutes. Hazel turned to the stunned council representatives. Now then, shall we discuss those border disputes? I believe you'll find the Terran Alliance is prepared to be very reasonable in our negotiations. Velther, defeated, could only nod. As the emergency session dissolved into frantic diplomatic back-channeling, Leo resumed his position behind Hazel, hands clasped, expression neutral, the perfect bodyguard once more. But everyone in that chamber had learned the same lesson. Humanity hadn't been restricted because they were dangerous. They'd been restricted because the galaxy knew that once humans decided to act, no force in known space could stop them. The Cold War was over, and humanity had won without firing a single shot.